Just wanted to do a quick check-in. Hello to all the fifth graders doing math, but we also have a lot of students on here who are working on writing every day. And one of the things that I noticed that is a regular problem is trying to tell the difference between subject and object pronouns and then kind of messing up the usage in writing. So I wanted to remind you guys with hopefully something you'll remember about how to use these correctly. So just let's take a look. This would be typical pronouns. We're not getting into anything fancy here. This is just going to be subject and object, mostly male, female, except for when we have it. So the subject is the one that's doing the action in a sentence. The object is usually something that's receiving the action. So, and then what even are pronouns? Pronouns are just words that take the place of a noun. You should be using the noun first in every sentence. I can't tell you how many times students will write, he did this. And I'm like, well, who's he? First use the noun, then use the pronoun. Always start with the noun so that I know who you're speaking about. If you're going to start using pronouns, you have to use the actual noun of the person first. Once you have the name of the person already in your answer or in your essay, then you can start switching into the pronouns, and only correctly. So the object pronoun is going to be receiving the action of some sort. Okay, so the one doing the action, it doesn't always have to come first in the sentence, but typically, again, we're just looking at typical sentences. Typically, the action, the subject comes first and then someone or something receives it. So for example, and then also there's a rule, name yourself last. And why do you do that? It's as a courtesy to your company to say, to elevate them in status and to say, you come first. It's just like opening the door for someone and saying, oh no, you first. That's just manners. So, an example, okay? She and I followed the directions. You wouldn't say me and her, even though you're going to hear this all the time. People will say, well, me and her, me and him, me, me, me. Okay, that is not correct. You should be putting yourself last, and you would not say her and me either. That's not correct. Because if you're doing the action, then you should be using the subject pronouns. So examples, subject pronouns, she and I, he and I, they followed the directions, we followed the directions, you followed the directions. These are all subject pronouns. You can substitute in any of these for those as long as it would make sense in the context. Now, how about the object pronouns? So what are those? These are the ones that would typically be receiving the action. Her, him, it, me, you, them, us. Notice that some of them are the same, it and you, but you're going to use them a little bit differently, okay? So I wouldn't say her and me. I wouldn't say her and I. I would say she and I are going to go do things. But I might say he and I will go with her, okay? So that's more of who I'm going with. That's following a preposition. So then that will work there for the object pronoun. If you're confused, remove the other person or the pronoun that you're using and then make your sentence. Okay, so instead of saying she and I followed the directions, what if you just said I followed the directions or she followed the directions? Okay, if you're using an incorrect statement and you say me and her followed the directions, you wouldn't say by yourself me followed the directions. That doesn't sound right. It's not right. You wouldn't say her followed the directions. So why would you put them together and say me and her followed the directions? So try to get away from that. It's just kind of slangy. Now, I do have a few examples. We're reading Fahrenheit 451, and so I thought, all right, let's just pull some of these sentences apart and see what these are used like, okay? So, she backed away. There's your subject pronoun, she. He, subject pronoun, caught her. So, subject, object. He held her, subject, object. They, that's the subject pronoun. They hurried downstairs. So they're doing the action, okay? Montag staggering after them. That's the object. After a preposition, okay? How about she and he gave the book to him? This is probably something I just made up. She and he being the subjects, here's the verb, gave. What did they give? It, the book. To whom? To him. Here's an object pronoun. Subject, object. Another one. He, subject, felt her move in the room. Okay? He felt her. You could leave it right there and then just call that done. Subject, object. How did you get into it? So the object, I could also say it moved. Because remember, it and you could go both ways. It's so strange. It just doesn't seem right for you. Here it's used as an object. How about this one? I don't want you angry with me. I, being the subject, don't want you. You could leave it here and say, I don't want you. Subject, object. You could also say, are you angry with me? Or you are angry with me, and that could be a subject. So when it's in the middle, it can be used either way. Me is the object, clearly. And in the last one, give the books to us. This is probably something I made up too. The books could be them, give them to us. So I hope this is helpful to kind of illustrate when and how and where you're supposed to use subject and object pronouns. It's really important to keep those straight, especially when you're writing. Avoid this. This is just such a problem in writing, even in high school. And I know in the elementary level it's a big problem too, but even in high school, people are not past this. So work on those subject and object pronouns, and we will see you on another video. Bye-bye.